Do you want to become fluent in English? Are you in the habit of translating while speaking English? Or do you find it difficult to think in English? If this is happening with you, then you must watch this video till the end. Here in this video, I am going to share with you some techniques that will help you to train your brain to think in English. And thinking in English will definitely help you to become a fluent English speaker. Actually, what happens, we are very good at speaking our native language. Why is it so? It is only because you are in the habit of thinking in your native language. And why do you keep thinking in your native language? Why is it so easy? It is only because we have surrounded ourselves with the native language, the language that we most of the time or we usually speak. We listen to a lot of people or a lot of content that is in our mother tongue. Our brain functions accordingly. I mean, what I want to say is, whatever we listen to, our brain observes it and accepts it, and in the same way our brain functions. In the same language we talk to ourselves in our mind, and that's the problem with us. This is the problem that is actually restricting us to speak in English, to speak in any target language that you want to speak. Now, what is the solution? This is what I am going to address in this question, that how can we actually train our brain to start thinking in English? Well, why am I stressing upon this question too much is, the moment you will start thinking in English, it will become very easy for you to speak actually in the same language. The problem with translation is that if you keep translating things or translating sentences before speaking in your native language, you are in the habit of translating, then it is going to affect your speaking. You will not be sounding natural speaker, English speaker, all right, and there will not be that comfortability zone while speaking English because you are translating. This is the problem. It slows down your speaking process. That's why I'm telling you to stop translating first in your head and start thinking in English. Now, I can understand that it is not that easy as it sounds. We just simply say that, okay, yes, fine, we are ready to think in English. But the moment we start, we initiate this, we face a lot of difficulties. We do not find that comfort and easiness which is there speaking in our native language. I can understand that because I have also been through the same phase. There was a time when I also struggled a lot thinking in English. There was a time when I used to forget. I knew this, that if I want to be fluent in English, if I want to learn speaking, then I have to start thinking in English. I knew it. But the moment I started to take a step further, to I wanted to take action in this direction, I used to forget. I mean, all the time the native language used to run in my head, and I was in the habit of forgetting this new habit that I wanted to develop. The same thing might happen with you, that you might forget to develop this habit of thinking in English. I can understand that. So the first thing is that we need to remind ourselves again and again to think in English. Now, what are the ways, or how can you remind yourself? There are two ways that you can try. That is, use your phone. Why phone? It is because we spend a lot of our time with our phone. Phone is with us, I think, most of the time. So phone is going to actually remind us. You can set a wallpaper or a lock screen on your phone, written something like this, think in English. What I want you to do is set a wallpaper on your phone or on your lock screen, written think in English. And whenever you will pick your phone, you are going to see the same thing written over there on the screen of your phone, think in English, and that is going to be a reminder. That will remind you that I have to think in English. So whatever is going on in my head, that should be done, that should be going on in English, not in Hindi. So this is the first thing that you can do. Next is, because we are busy in doing one or the other thing, maybe at home or at office, specifically at home, what you can do is you can leave notes at some places where you frequently visit, like bedroom or washroom, let's say. The note should be written in this way, the same thing, think in English. So write think in English on a piece of paper or sticky note and just paste it on the wall or anywhere where you frequently visit, all right, at your home. That can be your kitchen, that can be bedroom or washroom, all right. Because why is it so? The moment you will go at that place, you will read that note and that will click you to speak in English or to think in English, all right. That's why I would suggest you to leave a note. So these are the two ways that will remind you to think in English. Now the problem is, fine, we are ready now to take this action further. What should I say or what should I think in English now? That might be another question that might pop in your head, all right. So for the beginners who are at the initial stage of learning, I would tell them to start thinking some English words first. Now for instance, you can start naming objects, the objects which are around you, which the objects that are surrounding you. Let's say, for instance, now at this moment I am sitting on my terrace, all right, and what are the objects around me? There are some plants, all right. So the word that I got in my head is plants. The next word that I got in my head is green, or I can say the next word is the color of the wall, that is cream color, okay. Or what I can see other things on my terrace is there is a clothespin, that's I can see here, there are so many clothespin. So the words that I am getting right now in my head is plants, green or greenery, or air, all right, or sunlight. So that's the thing that I can actually see at this moment around me. So that's what I am telling myself in my head, okay. That's what you can also do wherever you are. It doesn't matter, you are in the bedroom, washroom, anywhere. Try to name the objects or anything that you can see around you in English. This is the first thing that you can do. This is for beginners, all right. And the next thing, if you are using any dictionary, you take the help of dictionary to know the meaning of certain words, then I will tell you to start using dictionary that is English to English. Means you are looking for the meaning of any English word and the meaning should also be written in English, all right. Stop using English to Hindi dictionary. You can only what you need to do is, if you want to think in English, then simply you need to understand that you need to surround yourself with English environment. This is the thing that you have to work on. Surrounding yourself with English environment is really important if you want to think in English. And for this purpose, whatever you do, if you are reading, that should be an English text, all right. Whether you're reading any magazine, newspaper, novel, blog, anything, that should be English. If you are watching anything, any favorite shows of yours on TV, that should also be in English. Or listening to any let's say any podcast, you're listening to any story, that should also be in English. If you are writing, write in English. So if you will surround yourself, you will immerse yourself in English language, your brain automatically will start functioning in English, trust me. Next, what you can do is you can start framing small sentences, or you can start describing things, describing objects. The objects that you named before, you can start describing these objects now. For instance, let's say here you can see a bedroom, all right. Imagine you are there sitting in this bedroom. Now what do you see around you when you are sitting here? There is a bed, okay, or maybe cushions are there, pillows are there, bed sheet, or some frames are hanging on the wall, okay, or let's say there is a table. So there are so many objects in the bedroom, all right. Try to name them first. Next is describe the objects. Now let's say you are going to describe Bed. What is bed? Frame sentences on this. You can say something like, the bed is an object that we use to sleep on. That's it. Or you can begin with making small sentences like, this is a bed, that is a photo frame. Alright, the color of the bed sheet is white. Or you can say something like, that is a bottle, there are keys. Did you see? I just spoke few small sentences. That's it. So it is for the beginners. If you are intermediate, speak sentences at your level. All right, you can describe more. You can describe each and every object in detail in English. You do not forget that you have to train your brain to think in English. So tell all these things to yourself in your head in English. Do this. And one more thing I would like to share, and that is, sometimes it happens we do not know all the vocabulary, we do not know what are all the objects called in English. All right, so in that case, rather than thinking too much about the name of that particular object in English, you can describe that object. For instance, let's say this image. Look at this image and imagine that you do not know what is it called actually, what is this place called in English. So rather than saying that word exactly, you can say that this is a place where I put my car. So the person who's listening to you will understand. Let's say you don't know what is this called in English. You do not know this. This is actually called sneeze. Okay, imagine you don't know this. So try to describe this. How can you describe this? You can say something like, this is an action, and this action is something like this. So you do not need to worry about thinking of this word too much. Okay, you can use your hand gestures, your expressions to make the other person understand what you want to actually say. So think in English. Okay, so think in the same way in English and try to describe any object that you know, or even if you don't know, no problem with that. Just try to explain it in the best way you can. Speak English only. Now when you started thinking in single words, okay, you started speaking a few words in your head in English, then you started even describing some words in English, then you can move on to making some little complex sentences or bigger sentences than before. For instance, you can say something like, today I'm sitting on my terrace. I am describing right now what am I doing. So I am sitting on my terrace and shooting this video for you, and it is a nice day today. I can feel the air and it seems so refreshing. There are so many plants around me. So like this you can also speak and try to frame sentences in English. Right now, where are you sitting and what are you doing? What do you see around you? Try to answer all these questions in English. All right, this is how you will start framing sentences. Next, what you can think, what you can do, that describe your day. All right, now you are very good at framing sentences also in English. Now try to take a step further and describe your entire day. That what did you do today? How was the morning? What did I do in the morning? Okay, or how was my day at my work? Was my day like engaging, or was I free today? Did I learn anything new? Like these, try to answer all these questions. Okay, and this is how you will describe your entire day from the morning till night. Think in English. Next, what you can do is you can train your brain to think in conversation. Means here you have to imagine that you are a part of any conversation which is taking place in English. Let's say you are going for your child's parents teacher meeting, and there you are the teacher. So imagine if you are the teacher, then what kind of sentences or what are you going to share with your child's parents? All right, so think accordingly and speak accordingly. Speak according to the teacher. Suppose you are a teacher, then what are you going to say? Okay. And when you are a parent, then how are you going to speak in English in front of that teacher? So you need to decide your role on yourself, or you need to decide the role for yourself, and you need to speak in English. Like, what are you going to actually say in front of that teacher? If you are a parent, you can say something like, so how's my child's performance going on in school? How is he doing in his tests, in his exam? Something like this, all right? Or if you are a teacher, then what are you going to say? Okay, so that's what you need to practice a lot, thinking in English in your head. And the last thing that I want to share with you is practice thinking in English on a regular basis, and do it many times in a day, and keep patience. Do not rush, okay, and do not expect a lot from yourself, and just in a day it is not going to happen, all right? It will take time to get into this habit of thinking in English. What I want you to do is just keep patience and be on this track. Do not lose the track of learning English, and be determined first, all right? That's it I wanted to share here in this video today, and I assure you that if you are going to follow these techniques for at least 30 days consistently, then I assure you that you will see a tremendous change in your spoken English after completing these 30 days of practicing to train your brain to think in English. Trust me. If you found this video helpful and interesting, then give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Take care.